Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. It is one, my friends, we're gonna be testing the GeForce GTX 1080 in Forza Horizon 5. For some reason, I didn't test the 1080 yet. So as usual, we're running it with the latest NVIDIA drivers. At the time of recording this video, I am not overclocking the card manually. As you can see, this is actually a factory OC'd model of the 1080 because it's the Asus Strix version. Over in Tech Power-Ups GPUs, you can check out all of its specs. 8GB of GDDR5X released back in 2016, and it's still kind of a beast today. And over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 9 5900X and 32GB of RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? And let's go for the settings first. I'm playing at 1080p resolution to start this off, and we're also going to test it out at 1440p, 4K, and 8K resolutions. We're starting this off also at the Ultra settings preset here, as you can see, and it's probably going to stay like that even up to like 4K resolution. I will of course drop the settings at 8K. So let's start counting our FPS. As you can see, it's okay, but I expected it to be a little bit faster actually here at 1080p. But you know, ultra settings are actually really intensive in this game, and if you play on high settings, you'd probably see like 130, 144 FPS average or something like that with a card like this. But I do prefer the higher visual fidelity because this is a beautiful game at ultra settings, and it's still above 60 FPS all of the time, I think. Maybe it could drop inside of the city, I don't know, but let's find out, shall we? Kind of a different weather here today in Forza Horizon 5, guys. I haven't seen this weather yet. I saw like a thunder, like in that direction right there at the right, so that's interesting. Of course. We lost both our mirrors already. Wow, look at the marks here that the tires leave. That's very nice and detailed. I didn't notice that in previous videos. Did they include that in the game now? Probably not, right? I just don't really pay too much attention to things. Alright, we're approaching the big city and oof, okay, it is dropping into the 60s. That's impressive, but in the bad way, you know, because again, I was expecting it to be a little bit faster here in Forza Horizon 5. But I guess it's just because we're playing on ultra settings. High settings, again, is way less intensive, and it would get us way more FPS, obviously. Still, I would prefer to play like this anyways. No problems here. Getting 60s here in the tunnel. Getting out of the tunnel, it always drops as long as it's daytime. But no problem. It's only dropping our 1% lows. It's not really going to happen too often. Now, 2560 by 1440 resolution using the ultra settings still, of course. And, okay, oh, there goes his license plate, alright. We are already getting below 60 FPS. I think, like, GPUs that are supposedly slower than this, like the 1660 Ti, do a pretty similar job in this one. Maybe I'm not really remembering it right, but I expected 1440p to be very good with the GTX 1080, and it still is, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't expecting to see like 50s right away. Come on, Crisp, you can get out of here. Oh boy, I am trying really hard. Also 69 FPS average, that's amazing. Obviously, that's exactly what I wanted. After all, this is the perfect experience here at 1440p. And looking at the entire city, it doesn't really drop that much, you know, only into like the higher 50s, maybe mid 50s at times. Give it a little bit of an overclock and it will actually stay above 58 or something like that all of the time, aside from the tunnel area. So that's actually quite nice. You know, I was still expecting a little bit better coming from a 1080, just because this GPU is a beast, but it's getting quite old at this point. Now, inside of the tunnel, 50s, and getting out of it, 49. That's still super good, obviously, especially for a 6-year-old card, right? It's 1440p Ultra after all, and it handles it like a champ. Here we go, 3840 by 2160 Ultra once again, and let's do this. All right, that's actually what I expected. Why would you do that? I mean, I wasn't really the problem there. I am usually the problem when I'm driving in games and the cause of crashes, but that guy was definitely the issue. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't slow down because I don't like to. Maybe I should sometimes, but who cares, right? Let's go. Still very smooth and playable indeed. I think we should also try it out using high settings at like 1440p and 4K, just to see it above 60 FPS all of the time at 1440 and compare the graphics quality a little bit, you know, and to see it maybe achieve 60 FPS average here at 4K resolution. Oh my gosh, that little... I hate that little wall there. It's getting really dark. I'm not sure if the FPS will drop now, getting out of the tunnel. Ooh, looking at the entire city, it dropped to 37 there. Come on, damn it. I can't drive, guys. All right, tunnel area. Yeah, okay, and getting out of it. Okay, it still drops to 38. Not bad though. It's still very smooth and playable, doesn't stutter whatsoever, so you can have a lot of fun like this. Skill song. I'm really glad we don't have anything going on, any music going on right now. Otherwise, it would probably be copyrighted, like in Forza Horizon 4. In Forza Horizon 4, it's actually super annoying because you need to delete one of the files manually, and it keeps showing up with updates and stuff to disable the music. But anyways, 8K resolution, ultra settings, very bad idea indeed, because we were almost running out of VRAM at 4K, and now we're definitely running out of VRAM, and that is causing 14 FPS here. You know what, it's still okay, because it is ultra settings after all, and like the 1080 Ti, for example, got 30 FPS, or 30 plus, I think, most of the time at least, at 8K high. So that was really impressive. I think this one should be capable of playing 8K on medium settings, which is super impressive for a GTX 1080, you know. 8K is 4 times 4K resolution. Well, you know what? Let's try it out at 1080p using high settings first, actually, and then 1440. Let's do everything at high settings again. I'm curious to see if we can actually get those like 100 plus FPS all of the time here. All right, so we're getting way more FPS than at ultra settings here on high, and that's completely normal. The high settings are way less intensive in this game, as I told you, but you do lose a bit of visual fidelity for sure. Like, there is no ambient occlusion around the trees and vegetation anymore. Also, I'm not gonna test extreme because extreme settings in this game look about the same as ultra, so there's no point to that. But yeah, if you really want higher FPS, massively higher FPS actually, with like a 144 Hz monitor at 1080p resolution, well, the 1080 can do that at the high settings preset, which is pretty decent, you know. It's gonna feel way smoother than ultra if you have that high refresh rate panel. But again, it's just, I don't feel like you need it in a racing title like Forza Horizon 5. Maybe in a competitive racing title like Formula 1, for example, F1 2022, you would want higher FPS because, well, you need some quick reactions if you are really, really competitive in it, of course. But here, I just don't really feel like you need that. It's more of a chill game, at least to me, and I much rather enjoy the visuals of the game, beautiful visuals on ultra settings, than play with a lot higher FPS at 1080p high settings, especially when it was already at 60 plus FPS all of the time at ultra. So yeah, it's just not needed, this right here, okay? Still, if you want 100 plus FPS, this is the way. It still drops slightly, as you could see back there with all of the cars on screen, into the 90s, but it's not a problem. Not really dropping. Well, actually it is dropping a lot, and it drops into the 80s getting out of the tunnel. Now it's 1440p time again using the high settings, and let's start counting those FPS. And instead of getting like 60s or 50s, whatever we were getting in this particular road right here at ultra settings, we are now getting 90 FPS. That's like 30 more FPS in the same area. But once again, guys, it doesn't look as good. I think that ambient occlusion is probably what causes the most differences here visually, you know. Oh boy. So maybe enabling that ambient occlusion and leaving everything else on high would be a way to go here, but I would just use the ultra settings preset. Again, it doesn't really bother me too much if it drops here and there from 60 FPS, or even if it drops from 50 FPS, honestly, guys, in a game like this. I can enjoy it absolutely fine anyways. And yeah, it just looks way better on ultra. I am not taking the usual path here, actually. But, oh, yeah, we're here again, so that's fine. Dropping into the lower 90s, not that different, actually, from what we saw at 1080p. Maybe like 10, 15 less FPS. And that's the thing with Forza Horizon 5, you don't really lose a ton of FPS when you increase the resolution. Silent moment of the video. Those happen a lot, but I just cut them usually. Anyways, it drops into the 70s. Nothing to worry about if you really want 60 plus or even 70 plus FPS at 1440p for like a 75 Hz 1440p monitor. This is it. It's gonna provide that just fine. But again, it's just that I feel like it looks a little bit bland here on high settings. It looks great still, and I would play like this with lower-end GPUs, just not with the GTX 1080. I prefer the higher settings, as I told you a million times in this video already. Let's go up to 4K now. Let's increase the size of this. There we go. 3840 by 2160 high settings preset. Let's go. And also the last setting in the settings preset. Oh, it's so damn sharp, guys. Every time I play at 4K in this game, it's just beautiful. And we're getting those 60s, by the way. But as I was saying, the last setting is actually ray tracing, but the game only has ray tracing in photo mode or in the garage or whatever. So that should have been breakable. Anyways, oh my gosh, my driving skills. Come on, please. We can do this. Stop being stuck in nothing. All right, got it. Starting to rain a little bit again, guys. Doesn't seem to affect our FPS, by the way, the rain. So that's fine. And it's a little bit foggy at the distance, but not a problem. But yes, I've seen a lot of comments saying, oh, if you disable ray tracing, which was enabled in this video, you're gonna get like 100 more FPS. That's just, no, it doesn't really happen, okay? 69 average right there. That's perfect. Every time I say that, it moves from 69. Like, it was at 69 for about like 10 seconds, and then I say that, and it went down. Damn it. The game is not being kind to me. No, I would go for 4K Ultra. You know, it's still above 30 FPS, still provides a really good experience in Forza. But if you want a little bit more smoothness while having a super sharp image, because this looks fantastic at 4K in terms of the pixel density and the sharpness. Yeah, it's really gorgeous, guys. But yes, I would still stick to Ultra because the visuals, the good visuals at 4K plus the sharpness is just insane. And whenever I have the option to play this game at 30 plus FPS Ultra 4K, I would just take it. All right, finally, it is the 8K resolution, and on the high settings, it's still far away from playable, but it's providing us those cinematic FPS. And I guess the 1080 Ti was actually a lot faster at 30 plus most of the time, I believe. Maybe a little bit less. I'm not sure. I don't really remember it properly, but that card impressed me a lot here at 8K high settings. And this is also pretty impressive, the fact that you can still get like 24 FPS average. That's probably going to end up being what we get here at the end of the benchmark run. Getting out of the tunnel, it doesn't really drop much. I guess we are still probably VRAM limited here. Those reflections in the ground are looking fantastic, guys. Wow, just incredible here at 8K resolution. I can see all of that detail, super sharp. It is actually noticeably sharper than 4K, even in the 27-inch monitor. But yeah, 4K was already super damn sharp, so that's fine. What do you want, buddy? That's a nice car, by the way. Yeah, so at 8K, high settings still doesn't really do it. Maybe medium will. I'm just curious at this point. If it's getting these FPS here, it's probably not gonna be that different in the city to what we've seen at high, which is weird, actually. Maybe, again, it's still a VRAM bottleneck, but it's not maxed out this time. It's at 7 gigs of usage. This is an 8 gig card. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. What I know for sure is that it looks way worse than high. Yeah, the textures are taking a huge hit in visuals, as well as pretty much everything else, like the reflections, lighting, LOD, level of detail at the distance, you know. There's just no point, Jesus Christ, to play at 8K resolution with a GTX 1080. It's just for fun, obviously. But yeah, it starts looking pretty bad, especially the trees at the distance, you know. If it's getting these FPS at medium, at very low settings, it would definitely get us 30 plus, but very low looks like a mobile game, so yeah, it's kind of terrible. Thank you very much for watching this video. I think I might upload another one today if I have the time. I'm still not sure, but yeah, stay tuned in. Love you all. Bye-bye.